Welcome to She is Resilient, a podcast for women on their healing journeys who are ready to start living their most authentic and empowered lives outside of survival mode. I'm your host, Tatiana, trauma and somatic therapist, as well as a holistic coach, and I'm on a mission to help more women heal their nervous systems. Each week, me and my guests are going to get real and vulnerable about the experiences that led us to becoming the empowered and resilient women we are today. You'll leave this podcast with the skills, knowledge, and inspiration to start creating the life you deserve. Because if another woman can do it, so can you. Welcome back to another episode of She is Resilient, and happy June! Can you believe it's already June? It feels like the year is flying by. We just wrapped up the first round of Embodied Healing Collective a couple of weeks ago, and it honestly felt like it wasn't enough time together, but it was honestly so incredible and emotional in the best way. Seeing these women was truly the highlight of my week. And I'm so excited because the wait list for the next round is opening up very soon, so I can't wait to see who joins the next cohort. But I wanted to share one thing that one of my Embodied Healing Collective clients shared on our last day of the collective that really stuck with me. They said, "It always feels like our wins are your wins." And it made me feel so good to hear that, because that is exactly how I feel about this work. Literally, when my clients have breakthroughs and they start to notice the shifts in their nervous systems, it genuinely feels like we won something. And that's honestly why I love what I do so much. It truly just fills my soul to witness each person's transformation. And I know I say this all of the time, but I am just so grateful to do what I do. So if we've ever worked together, thank you for trusting me. And even if we haven't worked together yet, thanks for just being here. Okay. So today we are talking about how to move your body in a way that actually supports your nervous system instead of keeping you stuck in survival mode, because it's one of those things that we might not even realize is keeping us in survival mode. I remember when I was living in survival mode, I had a lot of body insecurities, a lot of pressure I put on myself to look a certain way. I would literally skip class in college just to go to the gym. I would prioritize going to the gym not because I loved it, but because I was so focused on looking a certain way because I didn't love my body. And that continued for years. There were times as I got older where I would wake up for 6 a.m. workouts. Again, not because I had the energy or because I liked it, but because I wanted to be that girl. That girl who got up, did the workout, crushed her day, and then did it all again the next day. But here's what actually happened. I would spend the rest of the day completely drained. My brain would be foggy, I'd feel irritable, and I could barely function for the day. And then I'd beat myself up for not being more productive. And then when I didn't go to the gym, I would spiral. I'd shame myself for not going to the gym and then would be stuck in a funk for weeks, maybe even months, which is the perfect example of the freeze state. Also, side note, I hated yoga. I remember trying it and thinking, this is way too slow, it's so boring, it's not for me. But the truth is, it wasn't that yoga was boring. It was that my nervous system was stuck in a sympathetic state of activation, fight or flight, and I needed fast-paced workouts. I needed my heart rate up because that matched the internal chaos I was experiencing. If I didn't have that constant stimulation, I would feel quote-unquote bored, but it wasn't boredom. It was having a nervous system that had zero capacity for slowness, gentleness, and calmness. And I didn't know it at the time, but those workouts were directly contributing to my survival mode. I was basically using movement as another way to disconnect from my body instead of tuning into it. Even as a dancer, I danced for about 15 years, and the majority of those years I spent in a dissociative state. So you would think as a dancer I was connected to my body, but I was actually just going through the motions and not actually feeling my body. And then once I started to heal my nervous system through somatic experiencing, that's when I finally started to listen to my body in a different way. And then one day I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not focused on what my body looks like. It happened so subtly that I don't even know when my body image insecurities completely disappeared. I wasn't intentionally trying to get rid of those insecurities. It wasn't ever something that I actually worked on in any of my somatic experiencing sessions, but naturally the insecurities just started to quiet down. And that's because I wasn't fighting my body anymore. I wasn't trying to fit into a box. I could just be fully connected with my body and allow myself to flow with its natural rhythm. So now my movement looks completely different, and it's less stressful and more enjoyable. Like I mentioned in the last episode, I go to barre, I go to yoga, and now I love yoga. It's actually my favorite way to move my body. Think about that for a moment. Going from absolutely hating it to now being my most favorite way to move. It's incredible. I also like to go on strolls and hikes. Sometimes I stretch on my bed, sometimes I bounce on my mini trampoline, and sometimes I just do nothing. The way I move my body changes day to day because my body's needs change day to day. So there's no routine that I'm trying to force myself into. Like I said, there's just rhythm, responsiveness, connectedness. And that's what I want to invite you into. We live in a world that tells us we need to hit 10,000 steps every single day. And let's be honest, unless your job has you moving all day, getting 10,000 steps in is not realistic. And for a lot of people, trying to hit that goal just adds to the stress. And if it's stressing you out, it's keeping you in survival mode, not getting you out of it. When I was on social media, I used to see those posts that said, show up even when you don't want to. Discipline over motivation. And here's what I have to say to that. No. Just no. If your body is running on empty, you don't need more discipline. You need rest. You need capacity before you can add more to your nervous system. Your body isn't a machine, so we need to stop treating it like it is. We need to stop dismissing our bodily cues for the sake of the patriarchy. Literally, every time we override our body's signals, we reinforce the very systems that taught us to disconnect in the first place. If you want flow, flexibility, and be liberated by the societal beauty standards, then we need to stop listening to what the bros are saying about showing up at the gym when you don't want to, and actually listen to what your body is trying to communicate with you. All right, that's all I have to say about the bros and the patriarchy for now. I don't want to get all riled up. So let's talk about how to choose your movement based on the state of your nervous system, because your body is going to need different things when you're in fight versus flight versus freeze. So let's start with freeze. Freeze shows up in your body as chronic fatigue, exhaustion, burnout, feeling stuck, feeling quote unquote unmotivated, feeling disconnected, feeling numb, emptiness, depressed, and dissociated. Freeze is when your nervous system is immobilized. If you want to understand the freeze state a little more, I have a few episodes about the freeze state that you can go back and listen to. The first one is episode 30, how to complete your to-do list when you're in freeze. Then we have episode 72, when your mind checks out, how to cope with dissociation. And then more recently, episode 82, why burnout happens and how to heal from it. Okay, so when you're in freeze, what you definitely do not want to do is high intensity workouts. What do I mean by high intensity? I'm talking about HIIT classes, CrossFit, sprints, boot camp classes that are fast-paced, spin or cycling classes, and other workout classes like kickboxing. Now, what I'm not saying is that these workouts are bad and you should never do them. That's not what I'm saying. I personally love spin classes, although I haven't taken one in a couple of years, but what I am saying is that when you're in a state of freeze or shutdown and you're experiencing any of the symptoms I mentioned earlier, then your nervous system is immobilized and it does not have the capacity to do more. So if you override your nervous system and you continue to engage in these types of workouts when you're in freeze or shutdown, then you are potentially re-traumatizing your nervous system. And these workouts are actually keeping you in survival mode instead of helping you. So what kind of movement would be more helpful instead? During the freeze state, your body needs slowness, gentleness, and deep rest. So workouts that will support your nervous system and gently move you from immobilization to mobilization are restorative yoga, yin yoga, or just regular vinyasa style yoga. Not power yoga, not hot yoga, not booty yoga, just regular yoga or restorative yoga. This is the only kind of workout that I would recommend when you're in a state of freeze or shutdown, because yoga is going to help you gently reconnect with your body, with your breath, help you bring more awareness to your body, and very gently begin to mobilize your nervous system, which is exactly what we need to move through the freeze state. But again, it needs to be gentle and slow. At home, you can engage in slow walking or gentle swaying or rocking. But when you're in the freeze state, less is always more. Okay, let's move on to the flight state. Hey there, if you're looking for daily somatic practices to add to your toolbox, I'd love to introduce you to my somatic bundle where I guide you through over 30 somatic tools and practices that support your nervous system by creating the safety that your nervous system requires to move out of survival mode. Just click the link in the show notes and you will get immediate access to my library of tools. See you there. The flight state is sympathetic activation. When you're in a state of flight, you might be experiencing anxiety, stress, overwhelm, inability to slow down, restlessness, racing thoughts, over-worrying, rumination, heart palpitations, and a feeling of wanting to run or escape. Now, many people who experience anxiety actually do tend to use running as a way to feel better. But here's the thing, and if you're a runner, you're not going to like this, but it's the truth and it's important that you know this, because if you experience anxiety on an ongoing basis and you're going on regular runs, you are contributing to that state of survival. When we run, we are activating the sympathetic nervous system. We are mobilizing the nervous system. And because the nervous system doesn't rely on logic, it doesn't need an actual threat to respond as if one exists. So if you're already in a state of survival and you start running, your body can interpret that movement as a sign that you're in danger. So it's reinforcing the perception of threat instead of supporting your body. So when you're in flight, running and other high-intensity cardio workouts will not be helpful. So similar to freeze, you want to avoid fast-paced workouts like cycling or spin classes, circuit workouts, and HIIT classes, because again, they will just keep you in that sympathetic state of activation. When we're in a state of flight, what we need to do is down-regulate, right? Going from sympathetic to parasympathetic instead of going from sympathetic to staying in that loop of hyperarousal. So instead, we want to support the body's natural urge to move, but we want to do it in a way that is going to support the nervous system. So instead, you can go on a walk, you can go hiking, you can try a dance class, you can go swimming, or if you are a runner, you can try jogging so that it's slow, steady, and intentional. This will again allow your body to lean into mobilization, but in a way that is activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the nervous system that allows you to rest, digest, feel at ease, and connected to your body. And lastly, the fight state. The fight state also lives in the sympathetic nervous system. So when you're in fight, you may be experiencing tension throughout the body. Your muscles feel like they're always bracing. You might experience TMJ or jaw tension, tightness in the chest, the urge to punch something, strong feelings of anger or maybe even rage, getting frustrated easily, irritability, defensiveness, or feeling strong sense of resistance or competitiveness. So in the fight state, I would recommend workouts like kickboxing, martial arts, strength training, heavy lifting, and things that allow you to access what we call in somatic experiencing healthy aggression. So we want an outlet to discharge that sympathetic energy in a contained way. So for example, with strength training or weightlifting, there's structure, there's control, and there's intention. And so mobilization is met with healthy resistance, which allows the nervous system to access healthy aggression and release or complete that fight energy. I do a very mild version of this in my somatic experiencing sessions when I work with anger in person, where my client would be holding one end of a weighted blanket and I'm holding the opposite end, and we're almost doing like the slow tug of war kind of thing where we're both pulling on the blanket as hard as we can in a slow manner, and then we slowly pause and release and notice the body. And it's just fascinating how the body works and releases that energy. So workouts like weightlifting and kickboxing are really great options for that fight state. The only workouts I would suggest that you avoid when you're in the state of fight are competitive classes or competitions, or just making sure that you're not overtraining or pushing through discomfort, because again, this will contribute to that state of survival when what we want to do is listen to what the body is saying and lean into your body's urges in a way that's going to support the overall healing process of your body. And when your nervous system is healed and you're not living in a state of survival, you are free to do whatever workout you want, because then your body will have more flexibility and we don't have to worry about re-traumatizing your nervous system. But I bet you, once you do heal your nervous system, the workouts you used to like before are probably not going to be your go-tos. And I know this from experience, but also from witnessing it in my clients' journey to healing their nervous system. So that's it for today. I hope that this helped you gain some insight. If you got value from this episode, I would love if you could do me a favor and just follow the podcast on Spotify so that you don't miss the next one. Hitting the follow button is free and it helps the show, and it also keeps you in the loop. Alrighty, thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you absolutely loved this episode, I would so appreciate it if you subscribed and left a review on Apple Podcast, or take a screenshot and share this episode on social media. The more nervous systems we reach, the more generational cycles we break, and the more we contribute to a kinder and safer world. And if you're looking for somatic healing services, send me a DM and I'd love to chat on how I can support you. I'll see you in the next episode.